Hello everybody, I'm Jana from Sydney Visa. The immigration to Australia is a multi-stage process. It begins with assessing applicants' many parameters against the criteria specified by the Australian law. The official qualification assessment is the main requirement and condition for entering the most popular Australian immigration program, the Skilled Migration Stream. Your immigration process should start with this important step. Without the qualification assessment, it is impossible to qualify for either of the professional stream visas, such as 189, 190, 191, or even the sponsored work visa, where you need an employer who is sponsoring you, which is 186 or TSS. Because of the importance of this step, we have recorded this video. This video should give you a general information about what is qualification assessment for the purpose of immigration. Qualification assessment is the process by which your skills, work experience and qualifications are verified. It is assessed whether, in fact, your skills comply with the Australian standards for a particular occupation. Therefore, before starting the assessment process, it is necessary to decide which occupation you will nominate in your visa application. The occupation needs to be in a prescribed list published by an Australian government called Combined Skilled Occupation List. This list summarizes the professions that are in demand by the Australian economy. I will leave the link to this list in the description to the video. I want to note here that the profession you choose as your nominated occupation for the purposes of obtaining the visa for Australia is purely your pass into the country. What I mean is that you're not obligated to work within this profession upon your arrival, and you can work in any profession once you arrive. But you need to understand that the official qualification assessment can also be your helper with the potential employer. Having qualification assessment increases your chances of finding a job in Australia. Sometimes choosing a nominated profession is very straightforward. If you are not a mechanic, you are one. But there are times when picking the right profession becomes somewhat an art. Some occupations are related. Some people have an option for more than one occupation. So in order to make the right choice, one needs not only to understand the duties that are performed by this profession, by this occupation, as prescribed by the Australian industry, but it also needs to know each assessment body, how each assessment body evaluates the profession, right? So what are the requirements for candidates' education, work experience, duties, and sometimes level of English. Even before you begin the assessment process, you need to have a clear understanding what documents will be required and if you will be able to provide them. After the nomination occupation is selected, the preparation for the qualification assessment with the relevant assessment body can begin. There is a number of such assessment bodies that have been nominated by the Australian government to assess the visa candidates. The assessment body relevant to your occupation can be found in that skilled occupation list I mentioned earlier, where you can also find a link to their website with general information about the specifics of the process in that specific organization. Each assessment authority has its own standards, procedures, deadlines, and associated costs. For example, there are separate organizations for engineers, a separate one for doctors, for the top managers, for accountants and financiers, separate organization for IT specialists, and so on. By the way, we will be posting separate videos for each of these organization bodies on our channel in the future, so do subscribe so you don't miss them. The basic premise of the qualification assessment process is that you must provide evidence that your skills and qualifications are in line with the Australian professional standard of the chosen occupation. So, what is required for qualification assessment? For some occupations, it is necessary to have a complete education and diploma in order to obtain a positive assessment. Or for others, having just work experience is sufficient. It is extremely important to check what level of education and or work experience is required for positive assessment for your specific occupation. In some instances where the profession requires a relevant education but you don't have one, it is possible to acquire the necessary education through RPL. RPL is a recognition of prior learning. Basically, you are issued a diploma based on your work experience. So this is mostly available for trade occupations and within the IT industry. RPL can be obtained both in either through the evaluating organization itself or through a third-party provider. What documents are required? For most cases, the assessment is based on the documents submitted by the applicants, but there are organizations that conduct testing in order to evaluate the capabilities of the candidate. For paper-based applications, you will need to organize and provide various documents such as documents from your education provider, so usually a diploma and a transcript is enough, but sometimes the copy of a syllabus curriculum is also required. Recommendation letters from your employers most of the time are quite important. Your job contracts and evidence of paid employment. For example, your pay slips, tax returns, bank statements, or your pension fund statements. Can I get more than one qualification assessment, more than one profession? The answer is yes. You can apply for assessments for different qualifications and occupations in different assessing bodies. And this way, if both are positive, you have a choice of profession that is most favorable for your visa application further down the track. How long does the qualification assessment take? Well, a lot depends on you. Assessing authorities usually take up to 3 months to complete the assessment once everything is submitted. But from experience, the preparation of the documents for the assessment takes the longest time. Perfecting, for example, employer recommendation letters can be at times a time-consuming process. We go back and forth with our clients before every word is polished, before it is then signed by the employer. Some professions require preparation of syllabuses, as I mentioned earlier. We can also, by the way, help with those. Engineers, another example where they need to write engineer episodes, sometimes our clients take up to 6 months to write those. How long is qualification assessment valid for? The qualification assessment is usually valid for 3 years for immigration purposes for the Australian Department of Immigration. What if I get a negative assessment? Well, there are times when assessing authorities are not convinced that your experience complies with the requirement of the chosen occupation. They would normally indicate the reasons for their refusal and even may suggest other professions that you might be more suitable for. So in most cases, you can review the decision, but it depends on the reasons given. For the refusal, depends on your profession, and at times you're better off doing a new application. I would like to remind you that we at Sydney Visa conduct a free visa evaluation. All you need to do is to fill out the questionnaire below, and we will assist you with the choice of your occupation and provide a feedback on your chances of obtaining the Australian visa. If you have any questions, please ask them here in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Cheers from Down Under.